Hey, Pat, how you doing? You feeling reasonable?
I feel very sore today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got cancer of the spine and of the upper right lung.
Right. Tell me about those doctors, the GPs. You know, the ones down Trent Vale.
My GP's in.
So what do you think of your doctors, at the GPs?
My GP surgery at Trent Vale Health Centre in Trent Vale. I've been with them, I would say, well over 30 years. I can't remember the exact time, but I was with Dr. Law previous to them for a good few years. I never had any problems when I was with Dr. Law because he was a GP on his own.
Right.
However, since I've been with the multi-GP practice,
Yeah.
I have encountered a number of problems over the years, but never anything serious enough for me to want to withdraw
Yeah.
from their services.
Your backache took a long time to get diagnosed, and did they do it or didn't they do it?
Mainly, they've been okay with diagnosing me, but recently,
On the backache?
since August, September 2017, I have encountered a very different story. I went along in early September complaining of pain in my lower tummy.
Yeah.
And one of the locum doctors had a look at me and she listened to my tummy and whatever else they do. She sent me for blood tests. The results came back. There wasn't anything to worry about. She gave me, the practice nurse gave me antibiotics and said if your pain doesn't clear up after 3 days, come back and we'll give you some more.
Right.
So I went back after 3 days and she said, okay, she said, I'm going to send you for some more blood tests. She said, and I need you to come back after 3 days. If the antibiotics haven't worked and the pain hasn't cleared up, she said, and then we'll take it from there.
Right.
So that was what we did, and I did exactly what I did. So after 3 days, I went back to the GPs, and she said, no, she said, the pain, you're still in pain, I notice. I said, yes, I am. She said, did you go for your blood test? I said, yes, I did. She said, well, I'll just send you for some more blood tests. Or hang on a minute, was that my doctor?
But from September the 9th,
Right.
that was when you complained about your back,
Yeah, well, that was when I was having the back pain.
correct?
It wasn't the lower tummy pain anymore. It
No.
had moved round into my side.
And you never had an x-ray?
No, I never had an X-ray.
Did you ask for one?
When I saw the doctor
Yeah.
for the first time, I said, if I had an X-ray, would it show what the problems were? And he said, well, X-rays don't show everything. He said.
So he didn't give you an x-ray?
He didn't send me for an X-ray.
Right.
Although when I went back the next time, I saw another locum doctor.
Right.
She was very pleasant, very nice lady. Although because she was a locum doctor, she wasn't attached to the surgery.
Right. But you never actually had an x-ray while you was at that surgery?
They never sent me for
You never
an
did?
X-ray,
No.
a CAT scan, or
Yeah.
an MRI scan. No, we didn't.
And then later we went off to the accident.
Well, that was
Accident
weeks and weeks later.
Weeks and weeks later. You went
Weeks
about
and weeks
8 to,
later.
8 to 9 weeks with that
Oh,
GP.
I was in agony. I was in absolute agony.
Yeah.
I was, I can't tell you the pain that I was in.
Yeah.
It was so
Can
terribly
you, can you
bad.
remember when you went for the physiotherapy?
Physiotherapy. The first time I went for physiotherapy
Yeah.
was shortly after I'd seen Dr. Jeter for the first time.
Right.
But I haven't got the date in front of me.
Don't worry about the date.
Okay. So I went to see Dr. Jeter for the first time. And he examined me. Were you with me, Chris, the first time I went to see Dr. Jeter?
Not the first time, no.
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 It was the first time I went to see Dr. Jeter. Not sure if it was that time or the next time when Chris
Right.
was with me.
Right.
And we,
What did the physiotherapist say?
the physiotherapist said the first time that I went to see him,
Yeah.
he was unable to help me because I was in too much pain
Right.
for him to help me with anything.
Did he refer you back to the doctor?
Not on that occasion.
Right. Well, you went to another physiotherapist later, didn't you?
No, I went to the same one 3 times.
Oh, the same one, but it was another visit.
John, somebody.
Okay.
The same person.
Okay.
3 times I went to see.
But it'd be right, it would be fair to say that the doctor never diagnosed your problem correctly.
No, he never diagnosed my problem. And the physiotherapist couldn't diagnose my problem because of the pain that I was in.
Okay.
The amount of pain that I was in.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
When I went to see the physiotherapist, he said I was looking no better than I had the first
Right.
time. This is the second time of going.
Right.
And he said, that my GP, he said he couldn't understand why my GP hadn't referred me
Right.
to, no, that was the 3rd time, sorry.
It's all right.
That,
It's fine.
second time I went to see him, he said I shouldn't really have gone back to see him
Yeah.
at this point in time because there was nothing he could do for me. But the 3rd time I went to see him,
Yeah. The physiotherapist.
the physiotherapist, John something,
Okay.
his name is,
Okay.
the 3rd time I went to see him was when he told me that I needed to see a spine specialist.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So you went back to the doctors after that?
Was that the last time I went to see him?
The physiotherapist, yes.
The doctor?
The doctor,
You go back to the doctor after the physio?
I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
yes. Yes, you did once with me because the physiotherapist recommended that we talk to him about an MRI and getting it done
Right.
as quickly as possible.
Right, he did, yeah, so we did go back
To the doctor?
to the doctor after seeing the physical therapist. Right, that's what we did. Right, and so we,
And he was talking about 2 weeks. Even though the doc, when I checked the records,
yeah,
the records said that the doctor said, "Oh, I can get you an MRI, but it'll be 2 weeks." But even on the emergency fast track,
yeah.
and so nothing happened. You ended up then going to
Well,
A&E.
the problem was nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Yeah.
Nothing, no, in a minute.
Okay.
The problem was nothing then happened because I had surgery on my back the day before the MRI was scheduled.
Ah, right.
They took me
Okay.
in as an emergency patient to A&E.
Okay. So let's talk about the A&E and the accident and emergency at Stoke-on-Trent University Hospital, and the first time that you went. Tell me, Chris, how did Pat end up getting to the hospital?
Right, well, we called for an ambulance.
Okay.
The ambulance came and took us up. It took 2 phone calls
Okay.
for the ambulance to actually arrive. We don't know what happened to the first one,
Right.
but the second one came.
Right. And then you eventually got to the hospital.
We eventually got to the hospital.
So what happened?
We were put into the back of the ambulance
Right.
and driven to
You got there.
A&E. Yeah.
So what was
I
the
was
old?
in a lot.
What did they say? You was in a lot of pain, I know.
I had a lot of pain. They gave me oxygen and air
Right.
to help me survive the journey to the hospital because I was in excruciating
Right.
pain all the way there.
Right.
When we got to the A&E section, we were in a corridor for
8 hours.
8 hours in the corridor.
eight or 9 hours.
8 or 9 hours in the
In
corridor.
a corridor
Wow.
for a very long time.
That wasn't in the records.
No, well, it won't be in the GP records.
No, it wasn't in the hospital records either.
Well, it needs to be in the
Okay. Okay. So when they checked you out, what did they say?
They said, come into this waiting room. And
Yeah.
I went into the waiting room where I had to wait a few minutes to see one of the doctors. And then when I got to see one of the doctors, he was asking me about the amount of time it had taken for me
Yeah, to get in.
to get through A&E. And we told them, didn't we?
Yeah.
And just pause it for a minute, will you, Doc?
So on that first trip to the A&E, did he examine you, did he?
He did examine me.
Yeah. Did he say anything about that?
He said he felt that the pain,
Yeah.
well, too difficult to diagnose as any
Right.
one thing.
Yeah. So he sent you home.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was, well, literally that. It's too difficult to diagnose
Right.
from just pressing around on me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you think about the service you got that first time with the NHS, and what do you think?
I think it's appalling
Yeah.
because you're given to believe the NHS is there from cradle to grave
Yeah.
for those who need it.
Yeah.
Whether you can afford it or whether you can't. And I
Right.
certainly can't afford it.
Yeah.
I said, but
But he didn't offer any other
he
diagnosis, did
offered no other diagnosis.
he? No.
He simply said that the NHS
Right.
should
Go back to your doctor, basically, or not?
the NHS should pay for any painful diagnosis
Right.
that I receive from either my GP or the hospital.
And they put the 2 metal rods in your spine. What do these people do?
No, they didn't put the metal rods in my spine.
They did?
No, they did. Bradwell didn't put them.
No. You went to Bradwell after you'd had the metal rods in your spine.
But that wasn't what he said.
Okay. And what did they say? Okay, I just want to ask you about when you went to Bradwell Hospital after the operation on your spine. What did they do?
What did they do? Okay. well, I'd already had the surgery by the time I went to Bradwell Hospital, and I was still suffering badly from the effects of the operation. It had only happened less than a fortnight
Right.
for me going there, probably about a week and a half, I would say.
Yeah.
And I felt really weak. And they got a physical therapist in, and
Physiotherapist.
yeah, and these people came and wanted to get me mobile, and they said, you need to do these various exercises that we will give to you, and we will get you walking.
Right.
And I thought, that's good. Now bear in mind, I had full use of my legs at this point
Yes.
when I moved to Bradwell, and I was fully able to walk
Right.
during this time, and I was fully able to bend.
Right. They made you walk.
Yeah, they made me walk. Yes, they made me walk.
And what was the result of that?
Within a fortnight of them making me walk,
Yeah.
I had completely lost the use of both my legs.
So you're paraplegic then.
So I then became paraplegic.
Did you think that what they did contributed to that?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I kept telling them they were pushing me too hard.
I know when I came up the last time,
I'd
Well,
lost the use of my
the
legs.
very last time I came, you were really struggling to
I
walk.
was really struggling, and I fell.
You fell?
I fell in the hospital.
Ah. Nobody told me that.
I fell in the hospital. I couldn't
What
walk anymore.
What did they say?
The nurse who was helping me,
Right.
she tried her hardest and her best, but
Okay.
she couldn't support me.
Okay.
And she was really upset by this,
Right.
and I was really upset by this.
Right.
And she was so
Yeah.
hurt.
Right. I understand.
But she couldn't help me anymore,
Then they sent you back to the main hospital.
and I couldn't help me anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, poor love. She felt so bad about it.
Right.
And she said,
You haven't fell asleep, have you?
no. She said, give my, she said, give my night rest to the hospital ward, and Zoe would take it home for washing.
Okay. Okay. When you finished in there, they sent you back to the main hospital.
They did.
100.
Right.
They sent me to ward 100, which was the
Yeah, it was 100.
Right. And that was a Stoke University Hospital.
New surgical block.
Right. New surgical block.
surgical block.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
There's
There's,
Dr. Gary Malley, who was dismissive.
Right.
yeah.
Another doctor that was dismissive.
Not Dr. Gary Malley. He's ordered x-rays, and he came back saying they were clear because they couldn't understand why she was in so much pain with her stomach. I suggested about doing a CT scan.
Yeah.
He said, well, she had one 3 weeks ago, didn't she? I said, yeah, but that was on her back, not where
Anywhere else?
where the pain is now.
Right.
Says, don't you think within those 3 weeks that the cancer could have metastasised since then? And he just totally blanked me.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure what might have happened.
No.
Only that I was in
Back where?
quite considerable pain.
Okay. Okay. Well, now you're in the Haywood
I am.
Hospital. What do you think of the Haywood Hospital?
I think the Haywood Hospital and every member of its staff are pure magic.
Right.
They've been so kind, so very nice to me. Across the board, every person, whatever their rank, role or responsibility. I really feel that they have shown me what nursing care and nursing standards ought to be like.
So this is what the rest of the NHS should be like.
This is exactly what the rest of the NHS should be like.
Yeah. I have to say, I've seen these people myself, and they all look great. They all seem to be really on the ball.
They are,
Yeah.
they are hands and belts and braces
Yeah.
down above everybody else that I've
Yeah.
encountered in the whole NHS hospital service.
Yeah.
They are superb.
Right. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks for the info.
You're welcome. The only one other place where I encountered service on a level like this was when I was on the oncology ward,
Right.
Ward 201.
201.
201.
Yeah, and I can only say that for the day staff. I
Right.
cannot say that for the night staff.
So the night staff had
The
trouble on
night
that
staff were horrendous,
one. Right.
but the day staff were sublime.
Okay.
Just in the same way that these staff
I got you.
are sublime.
Okay. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Hey, Pat. How are you doing? You feeling reasonable?
No, I feel very sore today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got cancer of the spine and of the upper right lung.
Right.